Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Nurdini. I am from Group 3. Me and my friends Nadia Shuhada and Alicia will be presenting about how COVID-19 affects exchange rates in China. This is the outline of our presentation. The first one is introduction, which is the summary of the topic, will be explained by me. And the second one is the issues, will be explained by Nadia Shuhada. There will be 3 issues that will be discussed today. The third one is recommendation, and we will provide 3 recommendations, and it will be explained by Alicia. And the last one is conclusion of the topic, will be explained by me. First of all, I will explain on the introduction, which is the summary of the topic. COVID-19, or also known as coronavirus, gives a huge impact to the world. It caused many problems to the social as well as the economy. The economy of a particular country that was infected by the virus may face some issues. One of the issues faced by the economy is the exchange rates. Exchange rates is the value of one currency for the purpose of conversion to another. Exchange rates can be either fixed or floating. Fixed exchange rates are decided by central banks of a country, whereas floating exchange rates are decided by the mechanism of market demand and supply. Exchange rate movements affect an multinational company's value because they can affect the amount of cash inflows received from exporting products or services or from a subsidiary, and the amount of cash outflows needed to pay for imports of products or services. So in today's discussion, we will focus on how COVID-19 affects exchange rates in China. So I will pass the floor to Nadia Shuhada.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nadia Shuhada and I will present on the issues part. So, many companies believe that risks on currency exchange are something that cannot be controlled. They just secretly believe it will be a favor on their side. However, since the evolution of COVID-19, the company have started to realize that there is a need to manage their currency risk to avoid the bigger worries. There is no such thing as too late to build foreign exchange policy now due to the existence of the global economy. The companies might take this risk seriously because they might cause some problems later on, especially MNC. There are several issues that can be related to the impact of COVID-19 on the exchange rate that we have found, which are Chinese yuan weaken, greater exchange rate volatility, and uncertainty faced by China as an importer. Firstly, the issue is Chinese yuan weaken. When the countries have high daily rises of the cases of COVID-19, the possibility of their currency weakening are higher. Same goes with China. In the early stage of COVID-19, their currency depreciates more. In the normal case, a lower yuan exchange rate figures mean it takes fewer yuan to purchase US dollar, indicating a strong Chinese currency. However, during the early pandemic stage, more yuan is needed to buy US dollars since the cost of trading goods from importers are higher. A weaker yuan against the US dollar will generally make Chinese goods exported to the US cheaper, increasing demand, while making US exports to China more expensive and reducing the demand. As a result, the US trade deficit will likely widen. China is the main importer of products in the US, so this may affect the economic growth of the US. Also, China depends highly on the supplies from the US. So, moving on to the next point, the issue of the greater volatility of exchange rate. So, exchange rate volatility refers to the tendency for foreign currency to appreciate or depreciate in value, thus affecting the profitability of foreign exchange trades. The volatility is the measurement of the amount that these rates change in the frequency of those changes. There are many circumstances when exchange rate volatility comes into play, including business dealings between parties and to different countries into play and international investment. The existence of COVID-19 may change the volatility of exchange rate due to the effect of lower interest rate. This lower interest rate is in line with the number of cases of COVID-19 that increase the volatility of exchange rate. As a result, the future economic growth will be affected favorably. Healthy economies have the ability to attract global capital, and capital flows are the vital driver of exchange rates. Since the cases affect the volatility of the exchange rate, if the cases are bad, some of the businesses may need to shut down or the worst, facing bankruptcy. Meanwhile, if the cases slowly decrease each day and the authorities have an efficient and effective way of controlling the cases of COVID-19 from rising higher and higher, the companies may have the right to reopen their businesses with adhering to the standard operating procedures such as keeping social distance between each other. Although the business may not operate like usual, it will also impact their financial performance because their businesses are not fully operating as usual. Thus, there might be some decline in their revenue. Also, the businesses need to include the cost to ensure the adherence of SOP. Due to this problem, they might need additional financial instruments to keep their business open. The authorities such as banking and government will come to help by offering lower interest rate. This is where the result of lower interest rate will probably increase the volatility of the exchange rates. As a drawback, the performance of the economies of those countries decrease. The last issue is uncertainty faced by China as an importer. The foreign exchange rate plays a fundamental role in a country level of trade. To see the biggest picture, we discussed the China wood price, which were affected by COVID-19 due to the changes in oil price and exchange rates. Wood price is highly dependent on exchange rate and transportation costs. Due to the limited lumber resources, China is known as the biggest lumber importer and largest wood exporter. In transporting the wood supply chain, the price of crude oil is one of the essential factors affecting transportation costs. Transportation costs is a critical factor affecting log prices. In other words, a rise in oil price gets translated into higher prices for consumption goods because of consequential rise in their transportation costs. When the demand for oil decreases, the movement of transporting the wood also decreases. Hence, the price of the wood will go down. This will lead to the countries that depends on the supply of the wood demand higher on the wood and in turn will increase the demand of the timber. Since the transportation cost is high, the supply of timber that China receives from the importer will be lower and hence cannot fulfill the demand. Hence, the number of wood supplies will be lower. Thus, it will indirectly affect the volatility of the exchange rate and their currency may depreciate. To conclude, as the pandemic slowly recovered, the impact of the pandemic on crude oil price and the exchange rate reduced. So I will pass the presentation to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Alicia, and now I will be presenting some of the recommendations that we came up with according to each of the issues that we have presented previously. Recommendation can be defined as an act of suggesting, advising, or proposing the best course of action. And in this case, we would like to recommend some suggestions on what we think will be the most logical and best action to do when this kind of issue occurs. From the first issue, we understand that the Chinese currency yuan began to be weakened due to COVID-19. Therefore, our recommendation towards this issue can be executed by controlling the spread of the virus. In order to ensure that the exchange rate does not decline drastically, the government should take the initiative to control the spread of COVID-19. Some of the initiatives that can be taken is by practicing social distancing, especially in public places. So what is social distancing? Social distancing is a public health care practice that officials recommend during a disease outbreak, and the goal is to keep people from each other to prevent the spread of infectious agents like viruses. Not only can it help to stop the spread of the virus, but also reduces the amount of danger to people most at risk of severe symptom and potentially lessen the strain on health system. Some of the examples that can be executed is by closing down schools, cancelling face-to-face sessions in universities or college, cancelling public festivals, as well as staying at home as much as possible. Next is to regularly do sanitization and frequently do hand washing. The practice of hand washing will help a person keep any viruses from getting into their body through their mouth or nose, while sanitizers that contains at least 60% alcohol can also be helpful. The regular cleaning of shared surfaces such as doorknobs can even help to stop the spread of the virus. In addition to that, the government should also encourage businesses to have respective policies for employees at workplaces, such as encourage them to work at home if possible and opting out or cancelling large meetings. Although there are no guarantees, social distancing, hand washing, and in general, limiting each individual's potential exposure to infectious agents can be useful tools for limiting the spread of the virus. As a result, the economy will soon be better, and by having an improved economic condition, it will help the nation to strengthen back their exchange rate. It was also proven that the China exchange rate managed to strengthen back after the government had decided to impose lockdown in Wuhan in an attempt to control or prevent the spread of the virus. Next, the second issue is related to the greater volatility of exchange rate. With this issue, there is a question that goes, how should end users of foreign exchange rate products be doing now? The suggested action that we would like to recommend can be done in 3 ways, whereby the first thing to do is to carefully examine the reliability of market data that are used as inputs for valuation. Second is to scrutinize foreign exchange exposure to determine where market volatility has greatest influence on valuation and operation. Additionally, the third, we should consider the potential scenarios and whether the current foreign exchange hedging technique are suitable or should it need revisiting. Lastly, the third recommendation that we would like to suggest with regards to the issue faced by China as an importer would be speeding up plantation cultivation and increasing domestic lumber supply. As an emergency, the COVID-19 pandemic blocked lumber import channels, causing insufficient lumber supply, which acts as the main reason for the unstable log prices. As the raw material for the wood products industry, rising log prices have seriously affected the production cost of products and has even caused significant losses to the wood product industry. Therefore, the authorities should introduce reasonable industrial policies to take advantage of the current rising log prices to strengthen the forest farmers' enthusiasm for growing lumber. To further add, the government should coordinate the cultivation and production of domestic lumber raw materials. This would gradually increase domestic wood supply to meet with domestic wood demand, thereby decreasing the industry's dependence on external wood material and reducing the fluctuation on China's wood prices that are caused by uncertain factors in the international trade. The leadership should promote a dual circulation development pattern that's centered on a domestic economy and aim at integrating the domestic and international economies to fundamentally realize China's food safety. Moreover, this could be of some general lesson that other countries might learn from existing evidence in terms of the safe development of the wood industry. That is all from me. Thank you.
So I'm moving on the last part of today's presentation, which is conclusion. So we have been discussed on 3 issues on how COVID-19 affects exchange rate in China. The first issue is Chinese yuan weaken. The second issue is greater volatility of exchange rate ER. And the last one is uncertainty faced by China as an importer. We also provide 3 recommendations, which is the first one, control the spread of the virus. Second one is steps to be taken by end users of foreign exchange products. And the last one is speed up plantation, cultivation, and increase domestic lumber supply. To conclude today's presentation, all the issues can be solved or at least can help China to reduce the impact to its exchange rates due to COVID-19. The country should be able to figure out the best solution in order to ensure the issues that had occurred can help strengthening the exchange rates. That's all from us. Thank you.